Hey guys, Kimise, I'm back for another log. And I'm sorry, I missed last week. It was a pretty crazy week last week. And I had a lot to take care of, and I thank you guys for your patience, but I'm back on it. I'm super excited because it's been a busy week. But let's start off first by just jumping into our new subscribers. So since the last time we had a log, we had a ton of new subscribers. We had Tetson Hatter, Stetson Hatterley, Wicked Simmer, Skemdeer, Nepsidon, NGL 98, It's McGold, Creighton Cook, Javier Braceno, and then one joke sub from the official channel of the Rock Johnson. But anyways, there we go. Thanks everybody for subscribing to the channel. We are over 866 subs right now, so if I didn't say your name, I want to say a big thanks anyways. Remember, it doesn't show me your subs if you don't have your subs public to the community. So if you want a shout out, just shoot me a link in the text and I'll go ahead and shout out. But thanks everybody for taking chances to sub to the channel. I just want to say how much I appreciate it. And had lots of great comments this week. Thank you everybody who took some time to comment. I love answering your comments. I do take a moment to answer every single comment. I'm at a size where I get away with that and everything. But I'm going to keep that going as long as I can, because I really enjoy having those conversations with you guys, especially with your insights on the game and things that I've come across too as I play. So I appreciate it. Okay, well, so let's get into it. A few points that I thought were interesting to talk about. Ratbeard let out some details about Novus, or should I say a new mechanic that they're introducing to the game, and this is school pips. Now, I'm not exactly sure all the details of it. Some of it made sense, some of it didn't make so much sense, but apparently there's going to be these pips that are specific to a school spell. I actually find that really intriguing. So basically, the gist of it that I understand is that this is going to be kind of like an arch mastery idea. So basically, you can focus on finding stuff where you can, I guess, finding gear or things that's going to help you to get pips from different schools or to study in different schools, and that you're going to be able to cast spells that require these special school pips. And I think they're also going to be usable for like your regular school spells too, for that particular school. Like, for instance, there could be a spell that requires a special death school pip to be able to be cast. Okay, interesting. I think it really starts to open up some ideas for for a variety of different builds. We got the one series, which is a dual school style build. And I know some people like it, some people don't. Some people like to run one school and be that way, and some people like to try to vary what they're doing. I know it gets really different in PvP, but just my opinion, one of the things, and you'll find this if you actually, you'll find I talk a lot about this on my walkthroughs. I do bring different things up a lot, especially in the current walkthroughs since this is popping up. But I've always felt that one of the weaknesses of the game is, one of the strengths they made were the 7 main schools. I really like the 7 main schools and what they've done. But one of the weaknesses that's arose over time in the way that they've developed it and they've added to it and they've changed things around is that you almost play all the schools the same, or you can play all the schools very, very similar depending on the gear that's out there. And I think a full gear audit really needs to happen. I've talked about this before. They've talked about it. They just haven't gone through with it and everything. I think they're afraid to tick off too many players. And so they're going with this other idea of school pips, which I find very intriguing, because anything that allows infinite variation of builds to your wizard, to customize that wizard to play in a way that might be totally different from another player, I am all for. I think one of the strengths of Pirate is when you start looking through Pirate, not everybody has the same gear. And even the really cool pieces of gear like the Blood Robes, a lot of people make some really awesome Pirate builds without even getting that particular gear. So even though there are some strong pieces of gear out there, Pirate's really varied, and it allows for a lot of variation on the way you build your pirate. And Wizard has some of that, but because of the special gear that they've spotted, like in Atlantia, in Olympus, for instance, or like Waterworks gear or Darkmoor gear or the Dragoon gear, there's little incentive to look for other gear. And honestly, the world gear isn't that great compared to it. So what's the point in any of that gear? Well, that's why I think they need a gear audit, so that they can figure out a way to level it out and make it incentives. Because I always thought one of the best parts of playing an RPG is getting new gear and building that wizard based upon what you find out in the world, not just going to a bazaar and grabbing the best gear you can buy. And I understand the idea behind the bazaar. I just think gear shouldn't be in the bazaar. I'll be honest with you. I think they should pull the gear out of the bazaar, and I think it would make the game a whole lot better. It would take us back to our roots of RPGing, and just get rid of that bazaar. Yeah, sell the gear to get money, to vendors and everything, but get rid of the bazaar. Only have the bazaar for like pet snacks or for reagents or for spell cards. I think that is absolutely awesome, but take the gear out of the bazaar. That's my proponent. But anyways, that's just me. So this new these new school pips, I think, especially with some of the ideas that Ratbeard was throwing out, like there might be some new spells where you have to have like one death and one ice pip to cast it. Ooh, could you imagine the builds you could do? And they also talked about different customized card decks, the way you could customize the card decks for different things. I mean, you can already do that already, but I mean, it just allows for more variation and more strategy and stuff. So I'm all for it. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to do to the game, and I hope you guys are too. And boy, we talked a lot about that. Well, let's move on, but I think that's big news. So let's keep our ears to the ground. I'd love to hear your comments and your ideas on that. Find Ratbeard's post if you haven't seen it yet and read about it. It's pretty fascinating. Okay, Minecraft. So hey, there's going to be another poll out this week. I need some help trying to decide which farm to build next. I'm getting ready to do some projects on the mega base. I'm pretty excited about it, so I'd love to get your feedback. Now, topic of the week, what I want to talk about, and I don't know. Some of you might take it really well, and some of you might not. And I, not everything's going to be popular, but I think a lot about how I want to live my life, and hopefully you do too, because you only get one life, and there are so many things that can make you feel meh about everything, right? There are so many things out there, so many things that can distract you, that can get you down, so many things that you could look at as depressing. It doesn't matter from which spectrum you think of, whether you're old, whether you're young, whether you're conservative, whether you're liberal, whether you want more help from the government, or whether you want less help from the government. I mean, there are so many ways to look at it, and there's so many things that can get you down. But a decision I made in my life a few years ago was I have a right not to be offended. Yep. And if you want to talk about rights, we're not going to get into that, because there's lots of opinions on what are inalienable rights, what are rights that people should have, and I don't want to blow that up or anything. But one thing I think we need to think about is mental health. And part of mental health is learning how to be happy, I think. And right now the world is not designed, or should we say social media, doesn't matter what platform it happens to be on, the internet itself, the news, it's not designed for you to be happy. It's not designed for you to find happiness. And you have to make decisions that are going to get you there, And I'm not going to jump into all the different ways, because there's lots of different ways to find that path, and I have my way, and if you guys ever want to know, DM me and we can have a great conversation. But one thing that I do want to share, and I think this goes for every single person, and I think everybody, especially in my nation, because I live here in the United States, needs to listen to this, and they need to think really hard on this. They need to learn how to not be offended. That's it right there. Learn how to not be offended. Sure, have your opinion. You stand up for it, vote for it. Have a honest conversation. Have a conversation that's constructive, so that something positive can come out, or a compromise that means something. But you know what? You don't need to be offended. You don't need to be offended. I think everybody out there has has a right for happiness, okay? And I'll tell you what, being offended, that just takes your happiness away. If you're looking for things to be offended about, if you're looking for things to be slighted about, you're going to have a hard time being happy because you're going to be too busy trying to wonder why people could think a certain way or believe a certain way. And I'll tell you straight up, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. I mean, believe what you believe, research things, be informed, have constructive conversations with people, be open-minded enough to have a back and forth, and hopefully they'll be open-minded enough to have a back and forth too about certain conversations. But learn how not to be offended, because that's what's wrong right now. Everybody is ready to be offended. Everybody is ready to put their fists up and to throw down a defense. And I'll tell you what, the internet's wrong. Anybody out there saying you need to get in people's faces and you need to, be violent, or you need to, go after somebody because they disagree with you or they have a different opinion, that's not right. There's lots of ways to make change without that, and there's been some fantastic leaders in the past that have made change without that, and it's not worth your happiness to let the other side take any of that away from you, no matter what side it is. There are ways for us to improve our world without walking around with a chip on our shoulders, being offended about whatever that other person, that other side might think about. And that's just my 2 cents. Guys, you have a right to not be offended. You have a right to put a smile on your face and live your best life. And you know what? Yes, stick up for the stuff that you believe in, vote for the way you want, and, show people that you can do it in a way that promotes positive change, not in a way that brings things down, that causes destruction, that hurts others. We can change things in our world, in our country, and we can do it the right way. And it starts with us learning how not to be offended. And not being offended, doesn't mean you don't have to have your opinions. Doesn't mean you don't have to stand up for it. It doesn't mean you don't have to do it. But going about it in a way that's constructive, that's going to change minds, that's going to bring people to your side because you're the mature person. I think that's a key. And agree with me, disagree with me. I hope you guys have a great day. I want you to be happy. I want you to find happiness. And that's one of the ways I found my happiness. So I've chosen not to be offended. I've chosen to talk. I've chosen to be able to hang with others and to get the best of them in my life, because it doesn't matter who you are. Some of your best traits are going to be of value to me. Doesn't matter what you believe. There's some good about you that I'm going to find, and I'm going to enjoy that, and I'm going to enjoy being in your life and part of that conversation. Guys, it's Kimise. Have a great day. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.